So, tomorrow being Shabbos and Sunday being Erev Rosh Hashanah, we don't blow shofar again before Rosh Hashanah. The next time we'll be blowing shofar will be Monday on top of the hill at Lars Anderson at our high holiday services. And tomorrow is also the last Shabbos of the year. So it's a special opportunity, and I wish you may it be a good Shabbos and a sweet year and a healthy year. So they say this story about this rabbi. He's on the way to Kol Nidre, and he goes outside his house and he sees a piece of paper on the floor, like an envelope. He opens it up and there's a paper and it's empty. All it says is idiot. The rabbi comes to shul and he starts his Kol Nidre sermon, and he says, very often I get letters from people and they forget to sign their name. But today was the first time that I got a letter from someone and they signed their name, but they forgot to write anything. Sometimes people try to hurt us, but really it depends on us, on how we interpret the things and how we narrate what happens to us. You see, Rosh Hashanah is not the birthday of the world. The birthday of the world was on the 25th of Elul, which happened to be Wednesday. Rosh Hashanah is the day we celebrate. It's the 6th day of creation when we celebrate the birth of mankind, when Adam and Eve were created. And today, in the chronological order of creation, is the day that the botanical was created. All the beautiful trees and flowers and roses, all the botanics were created. And in fact, living in Boston, we're very blessed that although many cities, they cut down trees and they're careless about their trees, in Boston, especially in Brookline, we treasure each of our trees. I mean, you walk down, I walk in front of my house and all you see is greenery and such beautiful trees. In fact, I'm standing in front of a tree now that I walk by every Shabbos. It's on the corner of my block. This is a beech tree. This beech tree is remarkable and it's beautiful. And it could be 300 years old. We're not sure exactly how old it is. And some of them, if they're coppice, they could last for 1,000 years. Remarkable. And in fact, a few years ago, they had to do some work because it needed some maintenance. But I always wonder and marvel at it, because the Midrash tells us something fascinating. On the third day of creation, when God was going to create the botanic, the trees came to complain to God. They said, God, there's no hope for us. There's no way that we're going to be able to survive because the axe will chop us down. And God looked at the trees, says the Midrash, and God said to the trees, the axe could only cut you down if you give it the wood to make the handle. And what's the message? God is saying an important message here. That yes, people could be nasty and people could be mean and people could be rude and people could be insensitive and people could hurt our feelings. But we are the ones that dictate the narrative, how we see what happens. And we are the ones that control how we respond and how we take those insensitive comments. And in fact, another thing the Talmud tells us happened on Rosh Hashanah was that it's the day that Joseph was released from prison. And you might wonder what's the significance of it, but there is a great significance. Because the rabbis tell us that one of the greatest things about Joseph was that he didn't let the narrative of his brothers selling him into slavery dictate who he became. In fact, when his brothers met him and they asked for forgiveness, what does Joseph tell them? Don't be upset, I'm not angry. You didn't send me here, God sent me here. He sent me here because he wanted me to save humanity from hunger, to save humanity from a famine. So instead of being a victim, instead of letting those who hurt him dictate who he was, Joseph taught us, no, I'm going to dictate myself who I am. I'm going to choose what happens. And that's the message of the axe and the wood. God tells the tree, listen, and God tells all of us, you want to be blessed with the new year, the first thing we have to realize, don't let others dictate and don't let the narrative be written by others. You are in charge of writing your narrative. 5783 is coming. Taf Shin Pei Gimel, which means the year Tehei Shnat's poured together. In Hebrew, each letter is an acronym for a word. It's the year you could break through all boundaries. You could dictate who you're going to be. There's a remarkable, cute little story about this. The old days they had a Maggid. What was the Maggid? The Maggid was someone that would go from city to city, from town to town, and he would inspire people with speeches. And he would go the whole month of Elul right before Rosh Hashanah, and he would inspire people and tell them good stories to uplift them, to return to God, to become better human beings and better Jews. And one day there was this Maggid who went from town to town, and he had a wagon driver. And one day the wagon driver says, you know, you go to all these towns, you're such a prolific speaker, you give this amazing speech, you get so many accolades, people praise you, you're so famous, and they say, wow, you're amazing, everyone wants to shake your hand, everyone wants to be with you. He says, you know, I've been with you for years when you go to these cities. I know your speech from A to Z. Do me a favor. Maybe one day let me dress up as you as the rabbi, you dress up as the wagon driver, and I'll give you a speech. I want to feel how it is to get all those accolades and to be so celebrated and so famous. So the rabbi says, no problem, he agrees. Listen, the guy wants it. I don't care, I do it always. They come to the town. The wagon driver dresses up as the rabbi. He goes in and he gives the speech verbatim as the Maggid would give it, as this great rabbi would have said it. And he's enthralling, and he speaks from the Talmud, and he quotes the Talmud in a contradiction, and he brings it all together, he ties it up at the end. It's just magnificent. He finishes, and everyone's clapping and clapping. And suddenly, one of the guys in the crowd says, that was amazing, I'm so inspired by your speech, but you know, there's a contradiction from another Talmudic saying in another tractate, and I'm wondering how you would corroborate the two and how you would reconcile these two differences. And the wagon driver, being dressed up as the rabbi and only knowing the exact speech without the hands and without skipping a beat, he looks at the rabbi who's now dressed as the wagon driver and says, that's such a simple question. Even my wagon driver can answer that question. I'll let him answer it for you. What's the message? Don't forget who you are. And don't forget your power to write your own narrative. Rosh Hashanah is the day Adam and Eve were created, because it's a message that God tells us to learn from Joseph, who went out of prison that day, that we dictate who we are and not those who want to somehow slight us. May Hashem give us all a sweet and a good and a happy new year. Shabbat Shalom, my dear friends. Come to show tomorrow. It's the last Shabbos of the year. We'll have a Kiddush, we'll celebrate, and of course we hope to see you on Rosh Hashanah to celebrate the new year. God bless.